What if I told you that you don't need a new year, a new month, or even a new week to change your life? What if one single day, just 24 hours, could be the turning point? Now, I'm not saying you can magically fix everything overnight, but what you can do in one day is make the decisions that change the direction of your entire life. Today, I want to talk about how fixing your life in one day isn't about perfection, it's about clarity, courage, and choosing to start. Because the moment you decide to take control is the moment your life begins to change. Clarity before change is not just a catchy phrase. It is the foundation upon which every meaningful transformation is built. Without clarity, change becomes aimless, scattered, and often unsustainable. Imagine trying to navigate a city without a map or a destination in mind. You might move, you might stumble into something interesting along the way, but more often than not, you end up lost, frustrated, and exhausted. Life operates in a similar way. We often rush to change aspects of our lives, our habits, our routines, our relationships, without truly understanding why we are changing or what we want to achieve. And this is where clarity comes in, acting as both compass and guide. Before you can fix your life in one day or even begin the long journey of personal transformation, you must first see clearly where you are, what you value, and where you want to go. Without this understanding, all action is temporary, all effort scattered, and all results fleeting. Clarity is the lens that brings your goals into focus, making them visible, tangible, and achievable. To grasp the importance of clarity, it is essential to first understand how human beings make decisions and act upon them. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information, both external and internal. From the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep, we are faced with choices, distractions, and influences. Some of these are minor, like deciding what to eat for breakfast, while others are monumental, like choosing a career path or deciding who we want to spend our lives with. In this sea of information, clarity acts as a filter, allowing us to separate what is essential from what is noise. Without it, our decisions are often reactive, based on emotion, habit, or external pressure rather than deliberate intention. We may change jobs, move to a new city, or start a new relationship thinking it will fix our lives, only to find ourselves repeating the same patterns because we never truly understood the root of our dissatisfaction. Clarity before change ensures that every decision is purposeful, every action aligned with our ultimate goals, and every change sustainable. One of the first steps toward clarity is self-awareness. This is the ability to observe your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and patterns without judgment. Self-awareness is not about criticizing yourself for past mistakes or regretting missed opportunities. It is about honestly assessing where you are now. What are the habits that serve you and which ones hold you back? What are the relationships that energize you and which ones drain you? What are the values that guide your decisions and which ones have you ignored or compromised? Self-awareness allows you to map the terrain of your life. Identifying both the obstacles and the opportunities that exist, it is the mirror in which you see yourself, not as you wish to be, but as you truly are. This honest self-assessment is uncomfortable for many people, which is why so many avoid it. Yet, without it, any attempt at meaningful change is like building a house on sand. The structure may look solid at first, but it cannot withstand the pressures of time, challenges, or unexpected events. Clarity begins with self-awareness, because only when you understand the starting point can you chart a course toward the destination you truly desire. Once you have a clear understanding of yourself, the next step is defining your vision. Vision is the picture of the life you want to create. The future version of yourself that you aspire to become. It is not enough to simply say, I want to be happier, or I want more success. These statements are vague. Without specificity, they lack power. A clear vision is detailed, vivid, and compelling. It answers questions like, what does a successful day look like for me? How do I want to feel in my relationships? What achievements will give me a sense of fulfillment? When you define your vision clearly, it becomes a magnetic force, pulling your actions and decisions toward it. Every choice you make can then be measured against this vision, allowing you to stay aligned even when distractions or challenges arise. Without this vision, you may change for the sake of change, but the change may not bring the satisfaction or growth you desire. Your clarity before change is about knowing not just what you want to leave behind, but what you are moving toward. An essential component of clarity is prioritization. Life is full of possibilities, but not all possibilities are equal in value or impact. Many people attempt to change everything at once, losing weight, learning a new skill, improving relationships, changing careers, but this approach is overwhelming and rarely successful. Your clarity allows you to identify the changes will have the most significant impact on your life and focus your energy there. It is about distinguishing between what is urgent and what is important, between what is superficial and what is transformative. When you have clarity, you can say no to distractions No to obligations that do not align with your goals, and yes to actions that move you closer to your vision. If this selective focus is what separates those who flounder in constant motion from those who achieve lasting transformation. Change without clarity is like running on a treadmill. If you move a lot, but you don't get anywhere. Clarity before change ensures that every step you take is in the right direction, making your journey efficient, effective, and empowering. Another critical aspect of clarity is understanding your why, the deep, personal reason behind the change you seek. Many people attempt change based on external pressures, like societal expectations, family demands, or comparison with others. While these external motivators may provide short-term drive, they rarely sustain long-term transformation. Your true clarity comes when you connect your actions to your internal values and desires. Why do you want to fix your life? Is it to feel more fulfilled, to create security? If you're to leave a legacy, or simply to honor your potential, your why becomes the anchor that keeps you grounded when challenges arise. It is what reminds you of the importance of your efforts, even when progress seems slow or obstacles appear insurmountable. Without a strong why, even the clearest plan can falter. Your clarity before change means knowing not just what you want to achieve, but why it matters deeply to you. Clarity also requires honesty about your limitations and resources. Change is not only about identifying what you want, it is also about assessing what you have to work with. This includes your skills, knowledge, habits, time, energy, and support systems. Many people fail to achieve lasting change because they overestimate their abilities or underestimate the effort required. Clarity involves a realistic appraisal of your starting point. You're acknowledging both strengths and weaknesses. It also means identifying the resources you can leverage: mentors, tools, education, or communities to accelerate your progress. By being clear about your capacities and constraints, you can design a change strategy that is both ambitious and achievable. This balance between vision and reality is essential because it allows you to take bold action without setting yourself up for frustration or failure. Your visualization is another powerful tool in achieving clarity before change. When you take the time to vividly imagine the life you want, your brain begins to treat that vision as a tangible possibility. Visualization helps translate abstract goals into concrete images, feelings, and experiences. It answers questions like, how do I look, act, and feel in my ideal life? What habits do I practice daily? How do I interact with the people around me? This mental rehearsal strengthens your focus, sharpens your decisions, and primes your mind for action. Many successful people, from athletes to entrepreneurs, attribute part of their success to the clarity they gain through visualization. When you see the path clearly in your mind, you are more likely to recognize the steps to take in reality. Clarity before change is about aligning your internal picture of success with your external actions, creating a seamless flow from thought to behavior. Another critical element of clarity is breaking down your vision into actionable steps. While it is important to dream big, large goals can feel overwhelming if approached as a single, monolithic challenge. Clarity allows you to deconstruct these goals into smaller, manageable tasks, each with its own milestones and checkpoints. This process transforms abstract intentions into concrete actions. For example, if your vision is to become healthier, clarity involves specifying what that means: daily exercise, balanced nutrition, mental wellness routines, and then creating a plan to integrate these behaviors into your life. Each small step becomes a building block, contributing to the larger transformation. Change without clarity often skips this step, resulting in scattered efforts and little progress. Clarity before change ensures that every action is purposeful, measurable, and aligned with the ultimate vision. Clarity also involves anticipating obstacles and planning for setbacks. No transformation is without challenges, and the journey toward meaningful change is rarely linear. Clarity allows you to foresee potential difficulties, habitual resistance, social pressures, self-doubt, unexpected events, and prepare strategies to overcome them. This proactive mindset reduces frustration and prevents derailment. When you know where the pitfalls are likely to appear, you can respond with confidence rather than panic. Clarity before change is about being realistic about the journey, not just idealizing the destination. It equips you to stay resilient, maintain momentum, and keep your focus on long-term success rather than temporary setbacks. Understanding your emotions is another aspect of clarity that is often overlooked. Emotional awareness allows you to recognize how feelings influence decisions, habits, and relationships. Many people attempt change without addressing the emotional patterns that drive their behavior, leading to repeated cycles of failure and frustration. Clarity involves identifying these emotional triggers, understanding their origins, and developing strategies to respond constructively. For instance, if stress triggers unhealthy eating habits, clarity helps you design alternative coping mechanisms. If fear of failure prevents you from pursuing a dream, clarity allows you to confront the fear and take calculated risks. By integrating emotional awareness into your clarity, you ensure that change is not just external, but also internal. You're creating lasting transformation. Clarity before change is also about simplicity. Life can be complex, and the urge to overcomplicate solutions often sabotages progress. Clarity strips away unnecessary noise, focusing attention on what truly matters. It encourages asking tough questions, well, which actions will produce the greatest results? Which habits are non-negotiable for my growth? Which relationships are worth investing in? By simplifying your approach, clarity makes change manageable and actionable. It turns overwhelming aspirations into concrete plans, allowing you to move forward with confidence rather than confusion. A crucial aspect of clarity is the ability to articulate it. When you can clearly express your goals, values, and vision, you not only strengthen your own understanding, but also create accountability. Sharing your vision with trusted friends, if your mentors or communities, reinforces commitment and attracts support. Clarity is amplified when it is externalized, transforming abstract thoughts into tangible words, actions, and commitments. The act of articulation also forces refinement, clarifying vague ideas, identifying gaps, and solidifying priorities. Without this step, even clear internal understanding may remain dormant, failing to translate into real-world change. Clarity before change is not a one-time event, it is an ongoing process. As we grow, evolve, and encounter new experiences, our understanding of ourselves and our goals must adapt. Regular reflection, reassessment, and refinement are essential to maintain alignment between who we are, what we value, and what we are striving to achieve. Change is dynamic. Clarity ensures that we navigate it with intention rather than drift passively through life. We often think that motivation is the key to achieving our goals. That feeling inspired is what pushes us to take the necessary steps toward transformation. We tell ourselves, I'll start when I feel ready, or I need to wait until I'm in the right mindset. But here's the hard truth: motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like a wave. If we rely on it as the primary driver of change, we will find ourselves stuck in cycles of procrastination, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Action beats motivation because it is the bridge between dreams and reality, between intention and achievement. While motivation may ignite a spark, it is consistent action that fuels the fire and keeps it burning over time. The people who succeed in life are rarely those who feel motivated every day. They are the ones who act regardless of their emotions, who move forward even when enthusiasm wanes. Who understand that progress is built on discipline and persistence rather than fleeting feelings. Action beats motivation because action creates momentum. When you take the first step, no matter how small, you start a chain reaction. The act of moving forward produces energy, builds confidence, and creates a sense of accomplishment. Your motivation often feels like a prerequisite for action, but in reality, the opposite is true. To action generates motivation. Consider the example of someone trying to exercise regularly. Many people wait until they feel inspired to go to the gym or start a workout routine. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect time, or the perfect day. But when they finally push themselves to take action, even for 10 minutes, something remarkable happens. The initial discomfort gives way to a sense of accomplishment, and that accomplishment fuels the next action. By moving first and feeling later, we create a self-reinforcing cycle that propels us toward our goals. Motivation may spark the idea, but action sustains it and turns it into reality. Another reason action beats motivation is that it builds discipline. Motivation is unreliable because it is based on emotions, which are unpredictable and often temporary. Action, on the other hand, is a choice, a commitment to doing what is necessary regardless of how you feel. Discipline is what allows people to show up consistently, to work toward their goals day after day, even when enthusiasm is low or obstacles appear. Discipline is the muscle that grows stronger with practice. And action is the exercise that strengthens it. The moment you decide to act despite lacking motivation, you are training yourself to be consistent, resilient, and unstoppable. Over time, these habits compound, producing results that motivation alone could never achieve. Those who rely solely on motivation will find that it evaporates at the first sign of challenge. While those who prioritize action continue moving forward even in the face of adversity, action beats motivation because it provides clarity. When we act, we gain real-world feedback that teaches us what works, what doesn't, and what needs adjustment. Motivation, no matter how intense, is often based on imagination, ideals, wishful thinking. We might feel inspired by a vision of our future self, but without action, that vision remains abstract and intangible. Taking action turns abstract goals into concrete experiences. It allows us to learn through trial and error, to refine our strategies, and to develop skills that cannot be gained through thought alone. For example, someone who dreams of writing a book might feel motivated to imagine the perfect story. But until they start writing, revising, and editing, they will never understand the process or the challenges involved. Action transforms intention into knowledge, imagination into reality, and aspiration into accomplishment. Action beats motivation because it breaks the cycle of procrastination. Procrastination is often fueled by the belief that we must feel ready or inspired before we begin. We tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll begin when I feel motivated. But motivation rarely comes on command, and tomorrow often turns into next week, next month, or next year. If your action is the antidote to procrastination, by taking even the smallest step, you overcome inertia, and inertia is often the biggest obstacle standing between you and your goals. It doesn't matter if the step feels insignificant, the act of moving forward creates a psychological shift. Suddenly, the task is no longer abstract and intimidating. It becomes tangible and manageable. Momentum builds from this initial movement, and what seemed impossible yesterday becomes achievable today. Action beats motivation because it cultivates confidence. Confidence is not something that magically appears when we feel inspired. It is built through repeated experiences of taking action and achieving results. Every time you act and succeed, no matter how small, you reinforce the belief that you are capable. Conversely, waiting for motivation can lead to self-doubt and stagnation. You may question your abilities, delay decisions, and feel trapped by fear or uncertainty. Action dispels these doubts because it is grounded in reality rather than imagination. Each action is a proof point that you can create change in your life, that you have the power to influence outcomes, and that your efforts matter. Confidence grows naturally when it is earned through doing rather than waiting. And action is the pathway to earning it. Action beats motivation because it fosters resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will inevitably arise. Motivation alone cannot protect us from setbacks, failures, or disappointments. It is fleeting and often disappears precisely when we need it most. Action, however, equips us to face difficulties head-on. By consistently taking steps toward our goals, we develop problem-solving skills, adaptability, and perseverance. We learn to navigate obstacles, adjust our strategies, and continue moving forward despite adversity. Resilience is built not by waiting for inspiration, but by repeatedly confronting reality, taking action. And refusing to give up, action turns challenges into lessons, obstacles into opportunities, and setbacks into stepping stones toward success. Action beats motivation because it creates results. At the end of the day, results are what matter. Motivation may feel good, it may make us dream big, and it may inspire us temporarily. But results only come from doing. Action is the engine of progress. Whether it is starting a business, improving health, learning a new skill, or repairing relationships, tangible results require consistent effort. Motivation can fluctuate, but action is within your control. You decide when to act, how to act, and what steps to take. By prioritizing action over motivation, you take ownership of your life and your outcomes. You no longer wait for external circumstances or emotions to dictate your progress. You become the driver of your own transformation, creating results that speak louder than words, plans, or intentions. Action beats motivation because it builds habits. Motivation can ignite a spark, but habits are what sustain long-term growth. Habits are formed through repeated action, not repeated inspiration. Every time you act, you reinforce neural pathways in your brain, making the behavior easier and more automatic over time. Motivation may fluctuate daily, but habits persist. By focusing on action, you build routines that eventually operate independently of your emotional state. This is why the most successful people are not those who feel motivated every day, but those who built disciplined habits that carry them forward even when they don't feel like it. Action is the seed, and habit is the tree that grows from it. Action beats motivation because it removes excuses. Waiting for motivation gives rise to justifications, rationalizations, and delays. I'll start when I have more time, I'll do it after I feel ready, or I'll begin when I'm in the right mood, are all ways of avoiding responsibility. Action forces accountability. It requires you to take ownership of your choices and move forward regardless of circumstances. The more you act, the fewer excuses you have, and the more empowered you feel. This empowerment reinforces further action, creating a cycle of growth and progress that cannot be achieved through motivation alone. Action beats motivation because it teaches patience. Your change rarely happens overnight, and expecting immediate results can lead to frustration or abandonment of goals. Motivation may push you to start, but action sustains you over the long haul. By committing to consistent action, you learn to embrace the process, celebrate small wins, and recognize that transformation is a journey rather than a single event. Each step, no matter how incremental, contributes to larger progress. And the habit of action cultivates patience, endurance, and long-term vision. Action becomes a practice in persistence, teaching you to value progress over perfection and growth over instant gratification. Action beats motivation because it aligns your mind and body. Motivation exists in your thoughts and emotions, but it does not automatically translate into results. Action bridges the gap between thinking and doing. When you act, your body, mind, and environment begin to align with your goals. You reinforce your intentions through tangible behaviors, creating a harmony between desire and reality. This alignment strengthens belief your focus and determination. The more you act, the more your mind accepts your goals as achievable, and the more your body develops the skills, habits, if you're in routines necessary to make them real. Action transforms intention into lived experience, bridging the gap that motivation alone cannot cross. Action beats motivation because it inspires others. Motivation is personal and internal, but action is visible and contagious. When people witness someone taking consistent steps toward their goals, they are inspired to act themselves. Action has a ripple effect. You're influencing not only your own life, but also the lives of those around you. Leaders, mentors, and role models are remembered not for their motivational speeches alone, but for their consistent actions, achievements, and examples. By prioritizing action, you contribute to a culture of progress, accountability, and growth. If you're showing that results come from doing, not just feeling. Action beats motivation because it transforms fear into courage. Fear often holds us back, making us wait for permission, clarity. If you are inspiration, motivation may temporarily mask fear, but action confronts it directly. Each step taken despite fear builds courage, proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to act in spite of it. By taking action, you train yourself to move forward even when the path is uncertain, challenges arise, or doubt creeps in. Action turns fear into fuel, using it as energy to propel you forward rather than a reason to stay stagnant.